Hello, everybody, and welcome to Church at Home with Rachel for Thursday, the 9th of January. My apologies that I was AWOL yesterday. Things got a little went a little haywire when we came back after our Christmas break, and Monday and Tuesday were packed to the wall with putting out fires and getting things done that we didn't anticipate need to be done. And this video didn't get recorded. The video for Wednesday did not get recorded. And my apologies for that. I'm hoping I'll be back up and running. But every once in a while, this bishop gig gets a little overwhelming and it takes my first priority. But I'm back today and glad to be here. I need to address what's been happening right here at home. On Epiphany, on Monday, the day that the Americans, firmly established that he would be the next president for sure, that we all knew was going to happen, but it happened peacefully and with dignity and with integrity. Thank you to Vice President Kamala Harris. Was also the day that our Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced his resignation and the prorogation of Parliament until March, which allows everyone to take a deep breath, to take a step back. And it doesn't mean the government has stopped working. It doesn't mean that, like they're talking about the shutting down the government in the States before Christmas, that our military and our postal workers or our, the government employees and all the people who work in those support services don't get paid. It just means the government doesn't come back. The Parliament doesn't come back to work in session for another couple of months. But work keeps on plugging on, just like it would over holidays or anything like that. It also means that all of those parliamentarians, all our elected officials, have the opportunity to stay home in their constituencies and to talk to their people and prepare themselves for an election that was coming anyway. The Liberal government was due to have elections every 5 years if they are not called early. And so we were due to have an election in the spring anyway. And this just means we don't have to have a snap election due to a vote of non-confidence. So, you know what? A positive decision on the behalf of our Governor General and our Prime Minister, and appreciation to Justin Trudeau for his faithful work. One of the things I would like to highlight is something else that happened on Monday was, of course, is the other Justin. Justin Welby officially resigned. It was his last day in office as the Archbishop of Canterbury. And there are many people with many opinions, and some of you know mine, that if you don't know what happened, in 2013, when Justin Welby was within months of becoming the Archbishop of Canterbury, a notice was brought to him of abuses that had been happening in particular places, not by a priest or a bishop, but by a lay person within the Anglican Church of England, the Church of England, who had been doing things not in churches but in other places where he held authority. It was brought to the attention of the Archbishop of Canterbury, who believed that as it had been presented to him, that had been given to the police to investigate, and as according to all of the current and contemporary canons and laws and regulations of the Church of England of 2013, he gave it to the people who needed to deal with it. It was not something that should have come to his desk in the first place. As the Archbishop of Canterbury, it should have been being dealt with at the diocesan level by the bishop who was responsible. He believed it was being handled, and he continued to go on to handle all of the other thousands of things that need to be handled in the next 11 years. A couple of years ago, it came to light that many things had happened, keeping in mind that some of those very things, many of them being what we refer to as corporal punishment, which I think we can all acknowledge is absolute heinous, but was legal in England in their school system right up well into the 2000s. We can talk about the ethics of that and the morality of that till the cows come home. But if the government does not imply and say that something is illegal, the church can have its own stance about it, but it cannot charge people with doing something illegally. There are many, many people who were hurt, many people whose lives were completely changed, and I believe some of them may have taken their lives. But Justin Welby was not the person who did it, nor at the end of the day was he the person who should have been investigating it or dealing with it. However, he did call several years ago, 3 years ago, I believe, for an investigation, for a commission to look into that, and it was presented. And within a week and a half of the presentation of the final conclusions of that report that were commissioned by Archbishop Justin Welby, he did, at the pressure of other bishops and the people, tender his resignation. It's all public record. I invite you to look it up. I had the opportunity with other bishops from around the communion to meet with him 2 days after he tendered his resignation. And he spoke to us about the importance of leadership and recognizing that when you are a leader, you are then also responsible for things that maybe you weren't technically responsible for, you had no authority over. But when you are the leader of an organization, you wear it. It ends up on your desk, and you are the person who will catch the flack. Not very often does the person who is the CEO or the head of the corporation or the head of the group get the credit when things go really well. We usually tend to give that to those who deserve it. But quite often, the leader of the group or the leader of the organization does wear all of the dirt when it is flung at the organization, because that is part of the role of being a leader. And this week has shown that to be a big case. On Monday, we saw in the United States the leader of the United States of America currently, Joe Biden, and his Vice President, Kamala Harris, stand up and with integrity and dignity wear the frustration of all of those people who remembered what happened 4 years ago on January 6th, when the leader at that time did not do the right thing. And yet, the current leadership did this time around, and turned over the leadership and prepared for a gentle and calm transfer of power, as should be the case. In Canada, our Prime Minister, who has been vilified and horrible, horrible things that people who are brought up should know better to do, who did good work for the last many years, more than a decade he has been in Parliament. I believe it's been about 9 years that he has been Prime Minister. Many, many difficult things have been done and many good things have happened. Our healthcare system, our programs have been gotten better. $10 a day daycare, a dental program for families who don't have dental care, because they don't make enough money or don't have opportunity to opt into a plan that they pay for. Things that Americans look at us and say, wow, wouldn't it be beautiful to have? Our Prime Minister and all of the parliamentarians that he has led, all three parties, the work that they did together, even when sometimes they did it difficultly together, has been phenomenal. Getting us through a time when people predicted would be a huge recession, without having significant tax increases, because we really haven't, without seeing most of our prices go as much through the roof as they could have done, has been fantastic. His work during COVID, coming out every day in front of his house and speaking to the country to say, please be patient, dealing with the people who descended upon Ottawa and behaved like hooligans, and then watching as he had to stand there with his family and his children, and the horrible language, the rhetoric, the threats against him and his person, against his family, the way people have treated him has not made Canadians look good on the national or international stage, because of the rhetoric that we are seeing coming from what is becoming a world that I don't recognize from when I was growing up. Our world is changing, and our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau did his level best, considering he is a human being and the difficulties he was facing. He did his level best to try to maintain the integrity of his own self, his family, and our country, while trying to work toward doing what he and his people and the people in the Liberal Party, and at times the NDP and the Bloc Québécois, believed was for the best interest of all Canadians. And that, of course, being the leader means that those who hate him, or those times when something he tried to do failed, or in things like COVID when nothing was working well, and we had to recognize that there was no gold standard. The standard was, can we get up in the morning? Can we do our best? Can we treat each other like human beings until this pandemic, this universal worldwide pandemic, is over? He did a very good job of leading us. And I do believe that when the history books are written 100 years from now, he will not be the vilified, horrible prime minister that some would make him out to be right now. And so I thank him for the leadership he has given. And I appreciate it because I have learned from both Justins and from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris the recognition that when you are in leadership, not very often do you get those kudos, do you get those, hey, look what great thing happened. I don't want that as a leader. I didn't want it as a priest in my parishes. I would like the world to look upon my diocese or my Anglican Church of Canada or Christianity itself and say, the people who are in leadership are leading people well because everybody's doing a great job. Look at that amazing endeavor over there by the cathedral teaching children how to play piano who could for free, who wouldn't be able to do that themselves. Look at that incredible work that's being done in the nursing homes where people are going and taking communion and visiting. Look at the work being done over there by that food bank or that Out of the Cold program. None of that reflects usually on the priest and certainly not on the bishop or the leader of the diocese. It reflects on the people. But when things go wrong, we tend to blame it on the priest, the bishop, the leadership who tried it, rather than saying, okay, so that messed up, that didn't work. How can we pick ourselves back up, dust off the stuff that didn't, learn from the things that worked, because in every failure there will be some grain of success, and then pick up from that and move forward. That is what we need to do, whether it is our society right now looking at the ridiculous comments around annexing Canada to the United States and taking over Greenland and Panama Canal by military force. We are living in a world that is turning itself upside down. And the people, the very people who are called to stand up, Anglican Church of Canada, the Archbishop, the new Archbishop, all of us who are leaders, whether it's bishops, priests, deacons, lay people, wardens, the people who make decisions in churches, in communities, our mayors and our governors in the states or our premiers in the provinces, our legislators, we are all expected as leaders to recognize that we will have mud thrown at us. But we have also been given the authority to wipe that mud off and to say, enough. We will lead from here. We will lead from a place of grace. And so this week, as it feels like the world is turning itself upside down, as the Anglican Communion is now looking and thinking, what do we do now? And the conversations about whether or not Justin Welby was evil or whether he really did the best he could possibly do in horrible circumstances. The looking at the Canadian politics right now and saying, what will happen next? And rather than vilifying those who have been working to the good of the rest of the country, maybe we could stand there and say, thank you, sir, for your faithful service, even though you made mistakes, as we all do. And then look forward in hope and in prayer and hard work as we choose the next leader of the Liberal Party, as we choose the next government which will take over, which is not electing a prime minister, but electing members of parliament from whom our next prime minister will be chosen, will rise up, as because he or she will be the leader of the party that is chosen to lead our government with the other parties in tandem, working together. We all need to take a breath, to take a step and say, what is it we're called to do? Because this week, everywhere, whether it's right here in my office and in this space where I work, or in this country, in the Anglican Communion, and in the world, everything seems to have turned itself upside down. And we are all called to take that deep breath, to acknowledge the need to take responsibility where it is ours to take, and where we do not have responsibility, our responsibility then lies in how do we support the one who does. How do we support the people who will currently be looked at to become the Archbishop of Canterbury? And how do we pray for them? And how do we help them so that they will know that we will not vilify them if they make a mistake or if something goes sideways on their watch? How do we lift up and pray for and encourage those people who will say, yes, I will stand for leadership in the Liberal Party. I will allow my name to run in my local riding to say I will be your member of parliament in Ottawa if you choose me. And then how do we support them, whether or not we voted for them or not? How do we learn to take responsibility and be dignified adults to help the rest of the world move forward? Because this week, in the middle of all of the stuff that's happening and the ridiculousness of changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America and using military force to take over the Panama Canal and Greenland and to somehow economically force Canada to become the 51st state, we need level heads, and we need people who can face the fact that to be an authority, to take responsibility means you're going to be vilified. It's going to happen, but you still have to have the courage and the fortitude to move forward and say, no, this is what I believe we are called to do, and we will do it with integrity, and we will do it with dignity, and we will help the people around us to do the same, because we will treat them with integrity, and we will honor their dignity. That is what it takes to be true leaders. And whether you realize it or not, you are a leader in your sphere. You are called to share leadership, whether it's in your home or in your community, your church, your workplace. You are called to share leadership. It is something that we all carry as a responsibility, and I know that we can do it well. Have a great day. God bless you, and I will be back again tomorrow for Church at Home with Rachel for Friday. Bye-bye, everybody.